We're back. Did you miss us? Because we missed you. Welcome in to WNBA Hoop Streams presented by Google. The 2024 WNBA season was one for the record books, really at all levels, from the crowd sizes to the Liberty finally winning a W championship. But we're turning the page to 2025.
They finished business, Taylor.
They finished business, and we'll see if we're going to talk if they can repeat on that business. And I'm here alongside my two WNBA superstar reporters, and Alexa Philippou and Ari Chambers. I am Taylor Tannebaum. And we're going to get you set for the next 30 minutes with tip-off coming tonight to start off the regular season and throughout the entire weekend. And in case you missed what happened in the W off-season, we are here to catch you up because there's a whole lot to talk about. But let's set the table. Ari, what are you most excited for as we get ready for tip tonight?
A lot did happen, but the main thing I'm looking at is the expansion team. They have had some questionable decisions from the general public. That's what the general public is saying.
Fair.
They are a little skeptical. I mean, obviously, with a new team comes skepticism because you don't necessarily know what they're like. But Natalie, the head coach, has told us, hey, these players were cut because they don't fit the system. So I'm curious, what does the system look like? Can the Valkyries prove themselves right in the midst of so much public ridicule? And what does the Valkyries team look like going into the season?
Yeah, that's going to be a fun watch. What about you, Alexa? What are we pumped for this season?
Well, we just had so much player movement, and it felt like just yesterday where, you know, the dominoes were falling and players were changing teams. Some were a little bit more surprising than others. So after all that, you know, waiting of what this is going to look like, we're finally get to see the initial signs of that this weekend. And I can't wait to see the progression through. So it might not necessarily look great right away, but, you know, we might be talking about completely different things come September and October.
And a league that's all about fit, knowing that these players have moved around. I'm excited to see who fits the puzzle piece best.
Definitely.
And if you're sitting at home, this is the time now to get out your pen and your paper, use your little iPhones to write down who is where now, because there has been a lot of movement, as I alluded to. So let's get straight to that. Let's run the fast break to get into some of the big things to know with the W season now. Here we have some familiar faces in those new places. A record-breaking 4 #1 overall draft picks switched teams this offseason. Jewell Loyd, Kelsey Plum, Brittany Griner, Tina Charles. 2015 top pick, and Jewell Loyd joins the Las Vegas Aces after 10 seasons with the Storm. So now she's teaming up with the reigning WNBA MVP and Asia Wilson in Sin City. With that, former Aces guard Kelsey Plum has moved on to the LA Sparks. Plum and Jewell Loyd were part of a blockbuster 3-way trade between the Aces, Sparks, and Storm. She helped lead the Aces to back-to-back titles in 22 and 23, so now it'll be a new look in LA for 1KP. Then there's Brittany Griner, the 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, has recorded 812 career blocks, holds the WNBA regular season record for blocks in a single game. She's the only player in WNBA history to record at least 20 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 blocks in a game. And guess what? She's done it not 1, not 2, but 3 times, and we've only ever known her as part of the Phoenix Mercury. So this is going to be a new fit for her in an Atlanta Dream uniform. So Alexa, who will make the biggest impact where they are now of all of the names I just listed?
Well, I'm really intrigued to see Jewell Loyd with the Aces this year. And that's a player, well, yes, she's, you know, you could say she's kind of replacing Kelsey Plum at that 2 spot for Las Vegas. And there's a lot of question marks with the Aces in general, I think, with their depth. But I spoke with Becky Hammond yesterday, and it really caught my attention that she told me she thinks that the Jewell Loyd we're going to see this season might be unlike any we've seen before, and that she's going to go on a tear. And so that level of production, of confidence that Jewell Loyd might be able to come in with, and she's joining a team, too, that the Aces did not like where they left off last season. And so I think if Jewell feels like she has something to prove, if the Aces in general feel like they have something to prove, that fit together could be one to watch. So I'm really intrigued by that also because I'm going to be at that first game where we see Jewell Loyd and the Aces take on the New York Liberty tomorrow. And I'm really excited to see how it all starts to pan out.
Yeah, both of you will be in attendance for that game.
Sure
All right, the
will.
biggest splash that you feel like, look, we're talking about these names and these big names in new places. What about for you, Ari? What are you keeping an eye on?
The word big comes up, but before I get to the big that I'm going to talk about, I want to piggyback on Jewell Loyd. It's no secret that she had an off season last season. She wasn't shooting her normal percentages. I look at Jewell Loyd as clutch and efficient. That was not reflective of that last season. But now she's in a better predicament. She's in a predicament where she's comfortable around her teammates. And I'm excited to see that excitement translate on the court and get back to the Jewell Loyd that we all know. Now, when we talk about, oh, there's Jewell right there. See, every time that Jewell has a ball, I look at her, I'm like, this is somebody who you want. shooting well. You want her offensively sound and confident in her shooting, and last year we just didn't see that. But when I think about big splashes, I think about big people. When I think about big people, I'm looking at you, Brittany Griner, playing unrivaled in the offseason. She's been able to really hone in on the skills that she couldn't necessarily practice in the WNBA, like three-point shooting. When I tell you in preseason game, back-to-back possessions, just automatic threes. Initially, I'm like, Brittany, why are you on the wing? And I have a very strong opinion on bigs shooting threes. But in a world that has positionless basketball, Brittany Griner is working to expand her game. She is heavily tenured in this league. And just knowing that she's in Atlanta, starting fresh, again, a fresh start, having fun, having an energetic team around her, Ryan Howard, Naz Hillman, Alicia Gray, and Jordan Canada wanted her there. And she's in the best shape of her life. You can't, overstate
Just
that.
getting a little bit better. And as for Phoenix, there are a couple of pieces there that you believe, look, they're not the names that we just alluded to, but could make a big impact for the Mercury this year.
Right. Well, they brought in Alyssa Thomas and Satu Sabally. This is a completely new look Phoenix team. I don't honestly know what to think of them because they have a really great big three of those two players I just mentioned and Kalia Copper. However, no BG, Diana Taurasi retired, and they just don't have a ton of depth and experience beyond those three we mentioned. So I'm just very curious to see. I think that big three of Sabally, Copper, and Thomas might be arguably one of the best, or at least one of the most versatile and dynamic in the league. But how's that going to look when you're in a team setting when you have, there's 5 players on a team that have to make it work, and, you want to have a deep bench as well. So I'm very curious to see. There's so many players that changed teams for the first time this year and now are going to be, new cities, new uniforms. The fit that you were talking about earlier is such a big component to all of this. So it's just going to be really exciting to see how it all pans out.
Yeah. We've seen Phoenix have this three-headed monster before, but I'm worried in general, in the league as a whole, the shortage of point guards. We have point guards who are injured. Jordan Canada went down in a knee injury. She's week by week. Then you have Georgia Amore, who unfortunately went down with an ACL injury. I am worried about that point guard position with Phoenix Mercury and in general throughout the entire league.
Alyssa Thomas could play point guard for
She's
them.
1 through 5.
She can play center for them.
And let me tell you, if
Power
Alyssa Thomas is taking the ball down the court, I'm moving out the way. I don't know about y'all, but I'm not running into a brick wall. I'm not doing it.
I'm going to be in the first row watching. I'm
Did
certainly
you see
not
that
going to be out
picture
there.
with
No,
her?
no, no.
Literally out.
Yeah,
No.
But you talk about fit, fresh, that all plays into what they're going to do on the court this year. And again, it's going to be a little bit of a jump scare sometimes when you see some of these players in new uniforms because it is a new day and age in the W for a lot of these top players in the league. The Indiana Fever took this offseason and they went to work because it is a new era in Indy. Major moves acquiring Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, Brianna Turner, Sydney Colson. There's a lot of new names and new faces in Indy. Ari, with these moves, which additions will be the biggest game changers for the Fever, who are looking to take another step and a big step this season?
Teammates, I'm going to throw y'all for a loop. Sorry, Alexa.
You're
and
good.
I know
We
you're
love
very
it.
well versed
Go
in
Cook.
DeWanna and Natasha Howard. But Sydney Colson, adding that championship pedigree, but being a vet that, everybody knows her about being funny and just a fun time in the locker room. She's great for chemistry, but she has that veteran leadership. It's no surprise. It's no coincidence that she has won on every single level. She's heavily skilled. She can facilitate. We talk about point guard shortage. No, she can find you. She has a great IQ, and she's tenured in this league. She's also a great vet for Caitlin Clark to help her continue to sharpen her skills and like get to her morally as well. So I'm looking at Sydney Colson being the X factor for Indiana. When Caitlin does need a break, Sydney Colson can step in, be just as flashy, and contribute in a very real way.
Oh, I like that. And as funny as she is, she keeps it real, too.
She does keep it
So
real.
she's going to keep it real in that locker room with a lot of veteran presence and some young players that they're really trying to bring along this year. What about your point of view?
Well, let's talk about DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard. One of the big things that we talked about this Fever team this last year was the lack of playoff experience. That group last year entering the postseason had only 19 games combined across all of them of ever playing in the playoffs before. So now they're bringing in 2 players. DeWanna Bonner has 87 games of playoff experience. Natasha Howard has 53 games of playoff experience. And they've won championships too. They know what it takes to get over the hump. And that's what this team, because they're trying to take advantage of their young core and, plus Kelsey Mitchell and how fantastic they are on the court and the off-court stuff, of course, as well. They are talking about that championship. So I think these were like perfect additions. I think they upgraded in the front court by bringing them in. But I think that leadership, that veteran intangible is going to go a long way for this group this year.
It's easy to underestimate the importance of having somebody on your team who has been in a long playoff run, who has won a ring. You added 3 people that have won championships, and many of them multiple championships. Right. So being able to have the tenure and age, the championship pedigree, and just filling the holes that they need X's and O's wise within the team, the Indiana Fever are looking good this season.
And a new head coach in Stephanie White as well. By the way, the Fever were 3-12 last season versus eventual semifinal teams. So they're trying to flip that script this upcoming season. So if we fast forward a couple of months and we are inching closer to the postseason, Ari, where do you anticipate the Fever are at that point in the season?
I think going into the they're absolutely going to make a postseason. Yeah. That's literally what's
stand on business.
They're in a win now mentality. I think that they're going to be in the top 5. I can stand firmly on that because the things that we were missing last year with the veteran leadership, with just a strong, consistent post presence, they have filled that. And then they have a coach that has set a standard at the beginning of the season, who is respected by their players and has established what they want Indiana Fever culture to be. I anticipate them being top 5.
Yeah, I think honestly, top 5 is like the floor.
Yeah.
Like, this is a team, I think I would not be shocked if it takes some time for the pieces to come together because they only have 5 returners and the rest are newcomers. But no one's going to want to play them September, October, even if you know they don't have the best record throughout the year. They're going to be really tough in the playoffs.
And when you have your star player, Caitlin Clark, who has such a high IQ, who wants to get out and push and move, you have a very mobile DeWanna Bonner and Natasha Howard. So they're going to be able to keep up with the pace and flow of her. And then you also have a Kelsey Mitchell who can just shoot the lights out, right? So you have all the pieces. You're right. The top 5 is the floor, but I'm excited to see them fulfill the prophecy that they have made for themselves as of last season.
Hey, listen, shout out to Kelsey Mitchell, who's been in the trenches with this Fever team, and she has stuck it out. And now pretend like these are chips. Like they're all the way in Indiana right now, and they've brought in the pieces to make a real run after finally making the postseason for the first time since 2016 last year. Look, that was the first time in an Indiana Fever conversation that we mentioned Caitlin Clark. Look how deep we got into the conversation without doing that. But we do. Let's talk about her because obviously year 2 for CC in Indy, and you got a chance to talk to her. Great article on ESPN.com, by the way. What did you learn about Caitlin Clark and what she did this offseason to prepare for year 2?
Well, I know we saw Caitlin Clark all over the place. It felt like every time you opened up social media, she might have been at, the NFL League meetings or in a Super Bowl commercial or, sitting with Taylor Swift at a Chiefs playoff game.
So
as we all do. But no, she was in the gym working on her game, working on building strength in the weight room. And when I was speaking to people with the Indiana Fever franchise, they were just really impressed that she would go on these short trips to do these really cool things that come with being Caitlin Clark. But it was practically guaranteed that by the next morning, she'd be back in the gym working on her body and her game by 8 a.m. And she really loved her routine. She is one of those people, like, I know, I really identify with this, honestly, where it's like, I love my routine, I love my consistency, and that's where she said she's going to drive the confidence to really improve on that year 2. So I think between what she was able to do, both in the weight room, building that muscle mass, we've seen the pictures of her arms and her guns and all that, but also working on the nuances of her game and her really getting in the trenches with player development coach Keith Porter and Steph White's system. I think we can expect a really big jump in year 2, plus because of all the talent around her.
Right.
This is imagine she's never played with this much great talent as a pro or a college player, which is, I think, pretty scary if you're thinking about it, because that means it's going to probably raise her game as well.
And she's able to benefit from having stepped away from the court.
Definitely.
It's been a whirlwind for Caitlin Clark. I cannot imagine what she has had to go through in the past few years, but being able to say, no, I'm not doing any basketball right now outside of my individual workouts. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to kick it with Taylor. I'm going to do all the things that fill me. Sometimes it's beyond what you can do on the court. Caitlin's highly skilled. She's great, and she's improving on the defensive end. She's like doing all the things she needs to do to be a great player in this league, but just knowing that she's pouring into herself mentally is going to help be the difference maker between last year and this year.
Yeah, Caitlin Clark has learned the value of the word no. And I think we all can take a little bit of a lesson from that. Can't wait to see what year 2 has in store for her in the W. Now, one of the big questions heading into this season, can the New York Liberty repeat? Can they run it back after making history last year, finally getting the monkey off their back and winning that W championship? What do you think, Alexa?
I think they can do it.
Okay.
It's funny because I have them, if I were to make my own preseason power rankings, I do have them as number 1 because they are defending champs. but I'm on the record of saying I think the Lynx might actually win it all. So well, we can go into the Lynx later.
You have time to change your mind.
No,
it's okay.
It's so hard to repeat. There's a reason why it's, in the modern era of the WNBA, only the Aces have done it. But I think the league is even better now than it was even a few years ago. All these teams that were able to compile talent and really make these great runs. But when it comes to the Liberty, I'm a little concerned about the losses of two players. But Nigel Hamilton out for the year with a knee injury that she suffered during Unrivaled. And then also Kayla Thornton, who was picked by the Valkyries in the expansion draft. I just think that makes them a little thin on the wing. I wonder if that's going to impact them defensively. I know they have some great pieces they brought in that really could help make up for that. But it's just so hard to repeat. And they were not far and away dominating that final series last year if, we want to roll back the tape a little bit. So I think they can do it, but right now I'm going to say I don't think they'll repeat.
Well, they weren't dominant because they didn't have a dog, says Jonathan Kolb, and he added Natasha Cloud in there. You were worried about defense. It's covered there with Natasha. You have a great point guard who is in her proper position, which opens up Sabrina Ionescu to play her position, settle into exactly where they want to be. Again, nobody planned for the loss of Nigel Hamilton this season. Unfortunately, she got an injury at Unrivaled. But they have all the right pieces to repeat. But there's been so much movement that there's a lot more parity. I know we say that in college, but there's a lot more parity for the top programs in the WNBA right now.
Right. All right. We'll see what the moves mean and what the injuries mean for the Liberty. Look, they were able to do it last year, even though it was a tough drive to the finish. But if they can maybe build on that championship mentality, they know what it feels like now, right? So see if they can go out there and repeat. But like you said, hasn't been done often. All right. Starting five, Miss Ari Chambers. These are some players that we need to be keeping an eye on this upcoming season. So I'm going to turn it to you. Give us your starting five, please.
Okay, my starting five, Tahina Philippou, the rookie that stepped out with such confidence. She went back and forth with Caitlin Clark. It was a very viral social moment. But just knowing that she's not going to back down to the greats in the league. She's going to come out and show exactly why she needs to make this Atlanta Dream roster. And she did. She made it. And she's smiling in her headshot. She's like, I'm ready to play. Natasha Cloud, who I have never seen a front office so excited about a player, who have given her the keys to really run with this team. And she does it in tandem. She has a great way of commanding respect from everybody and just bringing the dog out of them that we were kind of skeptical about. We were like, New York, are you fighting for real? Natasha is their fight. Then Kayla Thornton. I'm going to let Alexa handle this one in general, but coming off a championship, 6 women for the Liberty, she's just crucial in everything the Liberty did. So the Valkyries, they got it right with that one. They definitely did. And Alyssa Smith, she has the chance to start something new with Dallas Wings, and we know the chemistry is going to be on point. No further details on that one. And then Courtney
Google it. Google it.
Then Courtney Vandersloot, everybody counted Courtney out. When I tell you, I'm so happy she has her homecoming to Chicago, where she can put her veteran leadership at hand, raising Haley Van Lith. Haley said that this is one of the best people I've ever played under, and she gets to learn from one of the best point guards to ever grace the court. Courtney Vandersloot looked amazing in preseason. She's really been working on herself, and I'm excited to see her.
Well, she had such a tough year last year, I think, personally, too, with the loss of her mother. That was something that it's of course going to impact how you play on the court. And New York ended up going a little bit of a different direction with Leo Fibic having a bigger role down the stretch. But I think her homecoming, like you said, now she's also a proud mother of her own baby with her and Allie Quigley, which we love. Congratulations. So I just love what she's going to be able to do there, not just with Haley Van Lith, but with those that young core that Chicago has with Angel Reese and Camila Cardoso. I mean, this is like a big's dream to be able to have a point guard that can
they can find you and really facilitate. And again, it goes to just being a tenured vet that knows how to maintain control of a team, that has had to deal with great personalities along her entire career. So she'll be able to handle that Chicago Sky team, especially in a transitional period that they've had. Yeah,
she tossed around the word legacy. She's there to help continue to lay the foundation for a franchise that has been important to her. And so at this age of 36 years old, she's coming out. She's playing great basketball, but she's also trying to do something a little bit bigger in Chicago. Let's go back to the top, to Tahina Philippou, the rookie. You like, Alexa, the fit that she has in Atlanta this season.
Yeah, well, we know Carl Schmesko loves to shoot the three. I mean, that's what he did as a coach at Florida Gulf Coast. If people aren't familiar, that team basically shot threes and shots in the paint and nothing else. So I think
no mid-range here.
Nothing else. No, mid-range does not exist. But I love Pau. I mean, we know what she can do from her time at South Carolina and Oregon. She was a great three-point shooter, I think top in the country 2 seasons ago. And so that's why her being able to fit into the system in Atlanta, I think makes all the sense. I thought when I was quote-unquote dropped in the draft to Atlanta, I was like, well, that's a no-brainer. That's going to be a great place for her. So really exciting to see her get the roster there and to be part of that really exciting time where the Dream are trying to make something happen. But they've been kind of close, but not able to really take off. And she's going to be part of the building blocks for this future.
When I look at how rookies are going to perform in the whole season, I look at how they come out when it matters. And it mattered in preseason because your literal job is on the line. She showed up so confidently, and that's a great indicator of how she's going to show up. She has Brittany Griner around her, Jordan Canada, Ryan Howard, Naz Hillman, Alicia Gray. That's kind of hard to play. That's a lot of star power around you. But when you go into the season knowing that you're that girl, she showed it. She said, I'm not going to back down from my competition. I'm going to give my coach exactly what he needs. If you saw, she drove, got back on defense, shot the little three, did all the things she needed to do. But she's an all-around player that I'm excited to watch.
She's just so solid. Like, she's just steady, solid. And we saw that at South Carolina. I think she's going to be able to carry that over into the pros.
Yeah, and it's all about being joyful when you're playing, as you alluded to.
Her headshot said.
Her headshot is happy. So she looks like she is happy to be in Atlanta. Really quickly, though, she did mention she's going to let you touch on KT out there at Golden State. What do you like about her being over there now? Maybe obviously unexpected for her, but now she has a chance to lead that franchise.
Yeah, well, Ari kind of alluded to it. She was a really important piece of the Liberty's puzzle last year, as that sixth person off the bench. And so I think now in a larger role with the Valkyries, she's going to really be able to shine in that. She was a huge culture piece too. Like, she was has such a vibrant personality, very funny. Obviously on the court, really was a gritty presence and was huge in making tough shots when they needed it or tough plays defensively. So I think that's going to be a player that a lot of Valkyries fans will really enjoy getting to watch, even if this year is a little bit up and down as they start their franchise.
Yeah, we'll see what they have in store with her leading the way. All right, not on Ari's starting five, but a player to keep an eye on is another rookie in Kiki Iriafen, a.k.a. Twin. And
we're literally not the same person.
Not the same person. But you did get a chance to catch up with her, so take a listen.
Kiki, what's today been like? I see you have your cap on.
Yes, the Mystics organization, they've been so lovely to all of us rookies, and we're missing graduation being here, kind of just fulfilling our dreams. So they kind of spoiled us. You can see it has my number.
Oh, that is so nice.
Yes, and then they had all of our family and friends record videos for us. So they've just been spoiling us. So I feel all the emotions of finally being done with college, but then also being supported by my new family as well in this process.
I love that. And most times it can be daunting to enter a new space. And I know that there have been horror stories entering the league, but it appears that you're smoothly transitioning. What's been the best part of being in DC so far?
I've been pleasantly surprised. I'm not going to lie. I was scared to go to the East Coast. I'm from California. I've been in California my whole life and going to school there. So I was scared to kind of move on the other coast, but I've loved it so far. I will say, like, outside of the organization, the people in DC have been great. We have so many fans, so many people that support us. And then just being here with the Mystics, like, I've truly felt involved, included. Like, my coaches, my front office, they all care about me. So I couldn't ask for a better place to kind of start my career. And they give me so much confidence to play out there.
I love that. And you approach preseason with such confidence, but there has to be a difference. So let's take it on the court. The different styles of play between Stanford and USC and the Mystics.
Yeah, I would say, like, that's a great question. I would say, one, just in general, the speed and the physicality has definitely upped in the league, and I love it. I feel like it's something that I'm learning to play with and something I'm trying to control myself, my own speed and physicality. But I'd say the biggest thing is just there's a lot more space on the floor. So even in the block, there's a lot more space. Every big can shoot, so there's not one big, like, you can be like, I can, like, everybody can shoot.
You can't sag off at all.
You can't sag off at all. And I would say probably the biggest number one thing that I've seen is the IQ level. Like, people are super smart, super intelligent here. I can't just rely on being more athletic than somebody or, being stronger. Like, if somebody maybe isn't as fast as me, they're super smart. So it's just like, how can I make sure that I'm upping my IQ in the same way and kind of just being a sponge? I feel like that's the biggest thing I've done in these first 2 preseason games is getting a feel for what the league is like, and then also getting a feel with my teammates, like, what does it require from me every single day so that I can be successful?
When you're looking at the book of Kiki, I understand that it's just the very beginning of the next chapter, but you said you're writing your journey and, you're trying to shape what you want your journey to say. So what do you want your journey to say?
Oh, that's such a deep, deep question. I want my journey to show my resilience and my relentlessness, and just if I put my mind to something, I can accomplish it regardless of what is thrown my way. So kind of just being like this go-getter, like if I want to do stuff on the court, I'm going to make sure I do everything in my power to make sure I can do that. Things off the court that I'm passionate about, I'm going to do everything in my power to do that. So kind of just this go-getter mentality, this relentless go-getter is what I want my story to say.
Something else that can help you are your teammates. What vet has taken you under their wing?
Oh my gosh. Honestly, they've all been super great. And this is not me just being nice. Like,
She's
no,
like, I'm media trained, Ari. Duh.
Oh, I will say Slim, Shakira, Steph, like they have been huge for me. And even Aaliyah, like, and I know it's only her second year, but all the returners have been great. I would say Slim and Steph have been giving me like those vet tips and tricks. Like, this is something that you can do to get this off, or this is how this person likes to play, or this is like a little hack to play defense. So they're always helping me, even if I'm going against Steph. She's like, if you guard me this way, I can't make this move. So I really appreciate their humility with this whole organization. So I can't pick one, but I would say those three have been probably the most so far.
Okay, so we have sisterhood, we have competition, we have just you fearlessly being in rotation. So as far as the Mystics as a whole, what can we expect from your team this season?
Pace. We are going to be fast. We're going to be in you. Like, defense is something that we're super big on, and I would say Slim kind of sets the tone for that. Slim and Suge, I would say, like, they are some of our greatest on-ball defenders. So really being a great defensive team, but pushing that pace. Like, we want to play fast, we want to play in transition, and that's one of our like standards that we have every single day. So I would say there's a lot of youth, a lot of energy. We probably will get on our vets' nerves because there's so many of us youngins, but I would say just a lot of fun and pace.
Do you prefer hooping in blonde or brunette or brown?
Oh my gosh. I think blonde is my color now, so blonde. I love blonde.
You know the blonde girlies out here.
Yep.
That's why she's successful.
Why are we twins? We both did.
We can't wait to see you and cheer you on this season. Thank you so much, Kiki.
Yeah, can we all get a little, what do we call them?
Block that.
Yeah.
Blocked.
Is it safe for me as a 33-year-old to be like, when I grow up, I want to be Kiki? She's like 22 and way younger than all of us.
And I want to be like her.
I want to be like Kiki. What are you most looking forward to about watching Kiki on the floor this season?
When she was talking about her vets, Shakira Austin has been injured, so I'm excited to see Shakira in full health taking Kiki under her wing.
Yep.
Stephanie Dozen bringing that energy. I just want to see her assert herself in this Mystics team and really make a name for herself.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have, the runway to have that young group take some bumps if they need to, because there's not,
there's
ton
no
of
pressure.
expectations. There's no pressure, but I don't think that's a bad thing. It's okay to know this is your young core, Kiki being a huge part of that, Sonia Citron being another big part of that, and then they're going to be able to just grow and learn and then really have a great experience this season, I think.
Yeah, it's just all about growth, learning, and asserting dominance.
And that could be fun doing that together. I have loved watching the evolution of her relationship with Georgia Amore, who we're hoping to see back out on the floor and back at full health eventually, and Sonia Citron, because they all were stars in college, and now they're all together on
Taylor
one team.
Beam's like a mother. She's
No,
like,
it's so cute. I'm like following on social media. I think it's so cool. All right, now it's time to take a look at what fans are searching for, presented by Google. Best WNBA team. That search spiked 260% in the U.S. over the past week. So I tee you up. Who is the best WNBA team heading into 25?
Well, I know I talked about the Liberty earlier, but I did say the Lynx are my pick to win it all.
So which one is it,
So
Alexa?
I want to actually take a little time though to talk about the Lynx.
Like Taylor.
We haven't talked about them yet, and they were a foul call away from winning it all. So let me just do Lynx. So this is a team that has arguably the best play. I don't want to say Nafisa Collier was the best player in the world, but she was playing like it in at least the postseason last year, right?
Yeah.
She led everyone in the league in the playoffs in points and rebounds, steals, and blocks. She carried over that dominance into unrivaled. I think she's going to pick up where she left off in the offseason and then just go on a complete tear. She's my pick right now for MVP at the preseason point. We'll see. And then I think also they're returning 85% of their scoring. They have that chip on their shoulder after such a heartbreaking loss. Their defense, if you look, we didn't talk about the GM survey yet, but the GMs actually, when they were pulled throughout
Literally
the
was
league,
Cheryl Reeve everything.
Cheryl Reeve, top coach in every category. And also the Lynx had the top top defense. And I think the combination of all those factors, the fact that we've seen so many champions before, they have those, oh so close finishes that they're just there, and they had to go through that to get over the hump. We saw it with the Liberty, we saw it with the Aces. I think maybe what happened to the Lynx last year is what they needed to be able to come on top this year.
I love that. What about you?
Are you
going Lynx? You going elsewhere?
I'm going to go Liberty, but I can appreciate that Napheesa Collier is playing the best basketball of her life.
Yep.
She's at a different level than she was last year, and she's just really, she's a dominant player, but you can't ignore the fact that the Liberty have Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu, and Natasha Cloud. Like, these are some all-star players, worldly players, that when Brianna is having a good year, there's nobody that can stop her. There's just not. Her length, her versatility, her mobility. So, like, Sabrina can finally play her position. We talked about that when Natasha Cloud, the addition, is able to let her open up and really have space to breathe. You have Niara Sabally, who's healthy this season for the full season. Yay. And Leo, who has played a full season in the WNBA, so understands the style a little bit more. They have the same retention, or they're retaining a lot of their key players. They're adding depth in their offseason acquisitions, and it's just looking really good for them. It is very difficult to go back-to-back, but if you're going to go back-to-back in the way that they did.
How beautiful is it, though, that there's options? You
Yeah,
guys
I
can
love
split
it.
the difference, and there is options, so we will see what happens coming up this fall as we wrap up the W season. But we are just getting started, baby, so let's do some way too early predictions for the season. You kind of just alluded to it, Alexa, but your way too early MVP prediction would be, should we just all say it at the same time? 1, 2, 3, if I count to 3?
What if I
think we're all the same.
We're all the same. Let's send it. Ready?
1, 2, 3.
Napheesa Collier. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, there we
so
go.
there you go. You just alluded to it. Why would you say she's your front runner today as we speak?
Because she has a chip. It's just that. She has the right footwork, the right motor, the right skill set, the right everything, and a chip. She has unfinished business like Liberty had last season. She was one foul call away from a championship. Knowing that you have that kind of team that wasn't able to finish it out, Napheesa, you are on the next level, going to Unrivaled and showcasing what you can do too. She's on her high horse. Why not remain on the high horse?
Cheryl Reeve said something recently that almost gave me chills, because she was like, Napheesa Collier is about to enter her prime, and I'm like, that is actually terrifying.
Yeah.
Because
Hello, what?
how can she get much better? I mean, I think last season, if Asia Wilson didn't have the, utterly dominant season she did have,
right,
Fee would have been the MVP. And so to think that Napheesa Collier can still take her game to another level, which she worked so hard in the offseason to do, I think it's pretty terrifying.
But Asia could get it too.
And Asia could get it too. Obviously, how do you discount Asia? You can't.
You'd be the first 4-timer, which would be incredible. And by the way, you want to talk about a chip. Fee is a plus 300, not even the odds-on favorite per ESPN bet. So we'll see about that when it's all said and done.
Fee's looking at it like, I'll take that personally.
All right, we'll talk MVP. What about Rookie of the Year? Where do you lean?
I think I'm going with the #1 pick in Paige Beckers.
Yeah,
she's a player that kind of, I wouldn't say quite like the Mystics, but I do feel like she has a little bit of a runway to take a lot on her shoulders. And this is a team that if they make the playoffs, I think that's great. But she's going to be able to really build this franchise out, and I want to say her vision, but she's going to be a huge centerpiece of what they're doing this year. She has Arike Gumbawale right beside her in the backcourt, but otherwise there's a lot of returners. But I think that means that Paige is going to have a lot of opportunity to really take things on her back and to play her game and really shine as both someone who can get her shot and be a knockdown shooter, but then also can facilitate. She had that really great pass in that preseason game to Arike that I think we'll be seeing a lot more of that. So I think I'm going to go with her.
I mean, it's Paige, right? Yep. So you have a point guard who's entering the league that likes to facilitate, combining with the high volume shooter that just wants to get out there and shoot and has the ability to just buying in that trust with her and Paige to get Arike and Paige together is going to be good. You get to be the starting point guard on a low pressure stakes situation. And so on a low stakes situation. So I anticipate that Paige will have the longest runway to be great and the least amount of pressure that she could just thrive.
Yeah, I like that. I'm gonna go different, just because I want to spice some things up. Because I think Paige is going to be incredible, as she should be. She's expected to, and it feels like she's in a good place mentally, physically right now. I'm going to say Sony Citron. I'm going back to the Mystics, only because Georgia Amore out with injury. Look, like you said, they have plenty of room to make mistakes, as Miss Frizzle would say, get messy, all that good stuff.
Yes,
this season, and learn a little bit. Sony Citron, I think, was underrated in college for everything she did. She averaged 10 points per game in the preseason. I think Sony could really make an impact in her rookie season in the W, but we shall see. All right, last question. Next in line, Asia, Angel, Caitlin Clark, Brianna Stewart to be featured in the Pop Funko doll line, which is kind of fun. So we're spicing this one up. But what about you? Who's the next doll?
Between them or just in
No,
general?
next.
In general. Okay, the next doll for me.
They already have theirs.
Simply because I know her Funko obsession is going to be Ryan Howard. I
like
sense
it.
that Ryan Howard will get a next Funko Pop. Funko, if you're listening, she loves y'all. So maybe we can make this happen.
That would be good.
I think I'm going to go with Sabrina Ionescu, you know, WNBA champion, fan favorite. She just had her signature shoe. Well, I wouldn't say just came out. That came out a little while ago, but it's been widely popular. So I think that could sell out too. That'd be a pretty popular one.
I think the South deserves a Funko, and I think that Funko goes to Ryan Howard.
I like it.
I think we should do both.
Sure.
Yeah.
There's
All the
Funkos for
merrier.
everyone.
Yeah.
So you already do, like I said, you already have Asia, Angel, Caitlin, Brianna. You just saw the pictures. They're really cute, and they're so cute.
so
I would
cute.
love one of
Good Funko
us.
Pop.
What about your
We
career?
need
What
Funkos.
about us? If I had to pick, I would say maybe the next one could potentially, I know she's a rookie, but be a Paige Beckers because of the fun fanfare that is surrounding her. And if she goes off this season, you never know. But add more to the mix.
Paige
and
Funko is
we'll
something I
all
absolutely
collect.
need.
Yeah, it would be really good. Okay, guess what, guys? We don't have to wait any longer because the regular season starts tonight, which is really exciting. You got a couple of games on the docket. Then tomorrow, both of you guys will be in New York for a great slate of games as well. I wish I was there. I'll be there in
You'll be
spirit.
there? Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be
That's
there.
gonna be very
I'll be
awkward
there
if
in
she
spirit.
doesn't hit me.
All right, what are you looking forward to tonight? Because here's your slate for this evening on Friday night. It is Friday, right? Yes, it is.
Yeah, well, not to kind of belabor the point, but we're going to get Paige Beckers'
we go.
first official WNBA game, and it's against the team that she idolized growing up in the Minnesota Lynx. And then, you know, that's a team that, again, we talked about the chip they have on their shoulder. I know Kayla McBride and Alana Smith are not playing, but that's still a team that is going to be really difficult to go up against. But I'm excited to see what the scene looks like from afar in Dallas as they welcome in their new #1 pick.
Yeah, when your idols become your rivals. It's
love
this
that.
is right here.
Love
Paige
that.
Beckers, how are you gonna match up? And then
I don't think Fee will go easy on her.
yeah, and it's funny because like, how dominant are you going to, or how much are you going to put your foot down in that first game? I'm a little afraid of how Minnesota's going to perform literally this whole season. Cheryl Reeve is like,
I'm here for it.
Cheryl Reeve's personality with Fee's chip, with the rest of them, like Courtney Williams just breathing air into everybody. I'm scared of Minnesota now. I'm scared of Minnesota.
And the big game on the docket is tomorrow. It's Aces Liberty, and I think a lot of eyes will be on that one at 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Is there something you're specifically watching for? Speaking of starting off strong, I think that could be a little competitive, no?
Well, when I talked with Becky Hammond yesterday, I was like, oh, so what's that scene going to be like tomorrow? She's like, hey, we love it. You know, bring it on.
Bring it on,
We think it's
baby.
going to actually help us to see our rivals get their banner, get their rings. And, you know, if a team wants to have a little chip, it's the Aces, and I think they're going to run with it.
Historically, that matchup has been super spicy, particularly in Barclays. And so
true.
I just will be there with popcorn. Alexa, I'm sorry, you have to be on the mic. I'm going to be there with popcorn.
Grab your popcorn. We're just getting started on the season. So excited to be with you the rest of the way. For Alexa Philippou, Ari Chambers, I'm Taylor Tannebaum. Enjoy the hoops. Thank you for joining us on WNBA Hoop Streams, presented by Google. See you next time.